problem is, and this is something, I'm not a military planner, but Hamas puts its missiles, its rockets in civilian areas. Part of it is that Gaza is pretty small and it's very densely populated. They put their command and control of Hamas military leaders in those civilian areas. Israel, I know, has sent warnings and tried to get people to move. But in any kind of conflict, there are going to be civilian casualties, and we need to try to get to a ceasefire as soon as possible.
All right, folks. She's not a military expert. She's not any kind of expert, but she was a hell of a Secretary of State, was she not? Just ask her. Joining us now, Charles Hurd. Hello, Charles.
Steve.
You know, what a piece, what a great column today at the Washington Times. Hillary Clinton, a woman of no convictions. And how would you like to be a fly on the wall? Well, they're not going to be alone probably, but they're meeting today at Martha's Vineyard as they both hobnob with the top 0.1%, and you know, they're going to be at Vernon Jordan's party.
I'm not going to be able to make it over there. I'm vacationing this week for 3 weeks, actually, at $100,000 a week in the Hamptons. But and I'm poor like Hillary. I wish I was poor like Hillary. Wouldn't you love to have that number of problems?
Yeah, it would be nice.
It is truly incredible, though. But I don't think it's fair to say that she has no convictions, because she does have some convictions. She has Clinton convictions, which, of course, always last exactly as long as whatever position you have helps you. And the second the winds change, you bail on it, and you go in the other direction. And you know, I hate to say it, but President Obama could probably learn a little something from that technique, because it served Bubba very well.
Well, wait a minute. He has.
Charles,
he has, because he ran on ending the war. He touted he ended the war. He ran it the second time that he ended the war. He's bragged there's no troops left in Iraq. He did it. He brought him home. And then last week, when asked about it over the weekend, are you happy you took all the troops out of Iraq in light of what's happened now? He said, "What are you blaming me? I didn't do it."
But see, this thing is. We're in such a hall of mirrors right now with their foreign policy. It makes no sense. And at one point, he gave that one interview where he said that, you know, the lesson we learned from Gaddafi is that you can't, you have to you can't leave a vacuum, and which of course is exactly what they left in Tripoli. So he says one thing, but then turns right around. I mean, it's almost like talking to an old Soviet agent, where they say one thing and then they turn right around and they say another thing that completely contradicts what they just said, and then they deny that they just contradicted themselves. That's what this guy's foreign policy is, and it makes absolutely no sense, because if they're saying now that you cannot leave a void in a dangerous part of the world because that somehow will ultimately affect us, then they are Dick Cheney and George W. Bush. They are no different. That was their policy, and then to suggest it's not a reversal is insane.
Yeah. How does she? Again, it's not even what some would call Clinton speak. How does she just blatantly disavow her tenure as Secretary of State when it comes to just about everything she did, everything she supported, the failure with the Russian reset, her handing him the button, the Syrian policy, which she did not speak out against. I mean, the Obama doctrine, which is basically don't screw up, and I'm being polite here, don't do anything stupid. And now none of that was good. None of that was hers. She was against it. She didn't do it. How does that's not Clinton speak? That's total chutzpah.
And how do you even claim, if you're Obama, that your foreign policy is don't do stupid stuff? That's all this guy has done. That's what his entire venture has been, both domestically and foreign-wise. But the thing that just that I think that people should never ever forget: Hillary Clinton is among a small group of U.S. senators who was in the Senate for all of the most important parts of the Iraq War. She was there representing the state of New York, which was hardest hit by 9/11, in the run-up to the war, and she voted to send our troops into that war because Saddam Hussein was a real danger to this country, and that is what she and she voted to do that. And then years later, when it became politically unpopular, she basically announced to the world, I'm just kidding. I didn't really mean to go to war. And when President Bush, with the surge, wanted to send in reinforcements because we were in trouble, victory in this war was going to be lost, and we had boys and men and women on the ground there who were in danger and needed reinforcements, she said no, and she voted against the surge. And to me, there's a small group of those, and they're almost exclusively Democrats, who did that. And to me, those people should never be forgiven. They should never hold public office again. In fact, if voters if we ourselves were a little bit more principled about this stuff and actually thought about it, we would drum them out of office, and they would never hold a public job again.
Well, you're talking about Hillary Clinton and now the current Secretary of State, former Senator John Kerry.
Kerry did it?
You're talking about the current Secretary of Defense, former Senator Hagel, who did it. Yep. And I mean, it's insanity.
Yeah, it really is. And to me, the idea that you would vote for a war like that, which cost us, thousands of lives of troops, maimed tens of thousands more, and then killed unknown numbers of Iraqis, men, women, and children. The idea that you would vote for a war to do that, and it would be for something you didn't really even believe in, is just shocking to me. I don't know how a person like that gets through the day. I mean, it is just, it's such an awesome responsibility, and I would argue that I can't think of a more important decision any human being in our lifetimes would have to make. And I mean, you think about it, it's a greater decision than most any personal decision you might make. You're talking about thousands, tens of thousands, of hundreds of thousands of lives affected, many in a life or death way. And they didn't even do the homework. They didn't even study the most basic history of wars to realize that any war is always ugly. There are always mistakes that get made. There are always casualties. And if the idea that they would go to war because it was politically expedient at the time, and then when it became politically expedient to abandon our troops, that they would do that. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about Barack Obama. Now, look, a video surfaced. It was linked on Drudge, and I played it, and that is Obama before he announced for the presidency in '08, talking about how what a total commitment it is. Your anxieties, your interests, your leisure time, your vacations all go by the board if you are going to be president. You're all in, and this man could not be more the opposite of the job description he gave to announce to announce 1 second that you're going to bomb Iraq and then run off to Martha's Vineyard and hit the golf course an hour later is obscene when you're following a president who gave up golf once the Iraq War started in '03. It's just obscene.
And not only, and remember the vitriolic ridicule that the former president withstood because he made that decision to quit golf as long as he, to me, that is a man who, at the very least, understands the weight of the decision that he made. This guy, there's no weight to any decision. He's not making decisions. He's just sort of flopping around like a fish out of water, and which would be funny, I guess, except that you have there are a lot of lives at stake right now, and nobody is better off under this guy. In fact, a lot of people are way worse off around the world because of this guy and his feckless policies.
Yeah, it is just amazing the hypocrisy, of the media. I mean, we could talk about that for the next 100 years.
You just have to rule out ever talking about it, because if you actually allow yourself to talk about that hypocrisy, all you would ever do is say, "Can you imagine if George Bush did that?"
That's it.
Give it up.
Hey, when George Bush dropped airlifts when he dropped humanitarian aid to people in Afghanistan, the media raked him over the coals. And this is the same thing Obama's doing here in Iraq, and it's a wonderful thing, and it is a wonderful thing. But they found negativism in it when Bush did it. It's just total insanity. By the way, this new media narrative now that black men in America are under attack because we have a situation in a town in Missouri where we don't even know what happened, and black men are under attack, and they bring up Trayvon Martin still as an example of that, when that was adjudicated and it was found by a jury that Trayvon Martin was a cause in his own death.
Yeah, no, they are so eager to fan these flames, and the idea that that Al Sharpton is out there, getting doing everything he can. How is he allowed to still have a show?
Oh, please.
On MSNBC?
I'll tell you, they always give a disclaimer whenever they talk to him or show him. I know on Channel 4, locally in New York, when they run it, they say, and by the way, and Al Sharpton does a talk show on our sister station, MSNBC. But here's what I want to know, Charles, here's what I want to know. Does Al Sharpton, and I'm not accusing him, is he there because when the civil suit comes and he's been advising the family, does he get a percentage?
You can't put it past him. This has been, that has been a very lucrative industry.
That's what I want to know. Yep.
Deny that there's a lot of money to be made off of these situations.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the kid is dead. That's terrible. But we don't know what happened, and I just wonder what his true motivations are. Maybe he'll tell us. Anyway, Charles, great to talk to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Charles Hurt, ladies and gentlemen, Washington Times. All right, we have a lot more up ahead in this hour. Columnist and senior online editor of Commentary Magazine, Jonathan Tobin, will be here to talk about Obama's latest statements regarding Israel and Jews and living up to what Israel's all about. He's the right one to say it, right? Don't go away. We're coming back.